What's up, boys? Today we're on the OEM preview bikes, V3 by the way, and I'm just gonna jump on, kind of ramble, give you my thoughts. We'll do a couple different tracks and just kind of mess around. I've been waiting for the OEM team to kind of continue to develop these things before I, put a video out. I didn't really feel like, or I don't know, want to put something out that I felt like was in the middle of development, and it seems like these bikes have really, this is what everyone is really enjoying. It seems like some people do like the original, the previews, the V1s that had a lot less, or they claim it has a lot less traction, even though excuse me, it doesn't. None of the traction was changed on the tires, but they felt like the bikes were easier to kind of pivot. And I will notice that there are sometimes when you get into a corner and you go to like slide, and then it just like, I saw Troy talk about this or post this, where when you slide it just hooks up like 100%, like over 100% traction almost, where it's like almost jarring. So that's kind of interesting. Maybe we can get it to do it on some of these corners up here. For the most part, I do like the 250 a lot. The 450 I'm kind of struggling with. Now, I've been basically testing everything on completely stock tires, and I haven't really been messing around with any of the other tires. I know that the 120/90 is insane, and I'm pretty sure we'll try it. When I switch to the 450 on the next track, we'll try the 120/90 to see if that fixes a lot of my concern or a lot of my issues. But I do actually enjoy the traction changes, the difference. Now, it's kind of quirky at times. There are some times where it makes a lot of sense, and some other times where I feel like it's a little inconsistent and it doesn't make sense, where I'll just completely lose traction. Now, I will say that if you lean forward on these bikes, on the previews, you have so much more traction. Or at least it feels like it, where you can just kind of rail any corner with, yeah. You could do that on like aerial tracks too. So that's something that I've said to the OEM team, that like, if this is how the tires are, it will be lean forward meta for sure. Like, everyone is just going to tape their right stick forward, which isn't a bad thing, I guess. It just is going to be odd and a new way to play the game, but because I guess right now everyone's kind of leaning back. But yeah, if you lean forward, it's a lot easier, I guess, to get around this track, or any track really. Seems like the rear end will track a lot better with you, like it'll just stay kind of in line with you a lot better than if you were leaning back or neutral or whatever. But as you can see, you don't turn as sharp, so there's a little bit of give and take. But if you're just trying to rail the outside or something, leaning forward is kind of the goat. Some other things I've noticed is they scrub really, really well. I really enjoy that the bikes are just like, you can just crank the bikes over, and it feels kind of like an in-between. If you guys remember the Beta 17 bikes, or maybe not the Beta 17 bikes, but right before we got these current OEMs that were on the public bikes, those bikes scrubbed super, super well. When everybody was on Lean Help Zero, those bikes scrubbed really, really hard, and I really enjoyed that. That was one of my biggest complaints about the public bikes, is they don't scrub as hard. And I think, okay, this is another big thing in that section right there, where there's kind of like the rollers and I'm turning. I've gone off the track there a couple times, and it's because I'm afraid to turn and hit the rollers at the same time. These bikes, and I think it's just because I haven't figured it out. I think that there is a way to get through rollers and turn at the same time, but it seems pretty unforgiving at the moment, where if your rear end slides like over this, like it'll hook and then send you back the other way. But I think there is a way to counter that, and probably leaning forward, to be honest, and just making sure you don't lose your rear end going over it. So a little throttle control and leaning forward, you can probably You could probably munch, to be honest, but okay, let's jump on a 450 on an aerial track, and then we'll mess around with it from there, okay? Here, oh, that was nasty. Also, as you can see, we're on a default setup. Shout out Mad Parts Kawasaki for hooking me up with the signed 6D helmet, by the way. Love to see it. Absolutely fire. Okay, we're on the Dilla here on a stock setup, and I want to see, and then we'll switch to the rear tire, okay? This is the 450. I have really struggled on the 450s, to be honest, to really get comfortable on them. They just seem super, super unpredictable. But I will say, this kind of leads me to my next topic, is that I was on a smoother track and I was not on an aerial track. Oh my gosh, I mid-ed the game. I haven't played in 3 days. I was at Charlotte. And these bikes are very, very different on a smooth track versus on a, you know, real rough track like aerial, or, you know, some of Keywin's tracks that he's been putting out that, you know, like Loretta's, those tracks that have a lot of movement in the ground, a lot of bumps, they're a lot better. And so I think that's something for the track creators to think about as they're working on tracks moving forward, is even these tires are interacting with, you know, they have bite now, right? And so the tires are interacting and hooking up off of the bumps, and that helps you stay planted. And if you don't have anything, the tires are just going to slip. So if a track creator is working on tracks moving forward, you may want to think about how you can add, and it doesn't have to be like aerial roughness, you know what I mean? But like something for the tire to grip on. I think that that's probably very, very important, because I can tell you right now, just after being on this for one lap, the track I was testing before this was much more rough, and it was a much worse time. And this is actually feeling pretty good and pretty like fine. And I think the type of roughness too, you have to take into effect, like these real jagged bumps, I think aren't going to work as well with these OEMs as kind of just giving it something for the bike to bite, especially through turns. If you're putting jagged things, that's going to deflect the bike while you're leaning. I think you're going to be slippy, slidey all over the place. But if it's kind of, this track's pretty mellow, to be honest, with the roughness. I mean, as far as like the sharpness of the roughness, I mean, and I feel like it's pretty usable, to be honest, and I'm actually really enjoying it, even though I'm really bad at the game. I'm much more vibing with this than I was on the last track that I was playing on the 450. Like almost completely night and day difference. The last track I was playing, it felt really like I was like, oh my gosh, boys, we are down horrendous now. But this is feeling pretty good, man. The front ends on these bikes are so good, though. It's insane. The front ends are really planted and really just like predictable. Like, you know exactly what it's going to do, and I think that that's really good. If we're going to have any unpredictability, having it in the rear end, I feel like makes a lot more sense. And if we're going to have something be really solid, the front end, I feel like that would be a lot more realistic. You know, I had, whenever back in the day when I was riding, I don't know that I had too many, like, other than head shake, like too many unpredictable front end moments, unless I was just pushing really hard into a corner and it was blue groove because I was riding a Thursday night Hangtown practice or something. But so far, this is pretty fire. Oh, okay, I'm also mid. Let's not forget that I'm very mid. I really want to try this other rear tire. Now, I know that the OEM team has stated a few times through the comments and stuff that they're not entirely sure what tires they're going to ship with the OEM update whenever they do that update. So it's possible this 120/90, which apparently is going to be very good. I just switched to it, by the way. We won't get on the 250 because it kind of breaks the 250, and nobody really uses the 120s on 250s anyway. In real life, I asked Pierce Brown if they ever run a 120, and he said, you know, very super rare. But I guess it is an option, so maybe they should keep it in. I don't know, because I think what they're worried about, which is what is exactly is going to happen, is the 120/90 or even probably the 120/80 on a 250 is just going to be so good because of the lack of power that you won't have like any traction issues at all. You won't have to use any throttle control. It'll just be completely wide open. But maybe it'll be, you know, maybe it'll be too slow. I don't know. You know, I mean, these bikes are a lot slower than the public bikes, which I think is really good. And maybe the 250s, we will need to have the extra speed. So I definitely think it's something for them to look into. Oh my goodness, how did I just not crash? I don't know that I would just immediately write it off, but maybe it is good to take it out. Maybe it's good to leave it in. I don't know. I don't think that was very helpful for anybody, but you know, this is why you guys watch, just to hear me yap, isn't it? This is kind of just a yap session anyway. But yeah, I don't feel like after, you know, I've done what, half a lap now? I don't really feel like this 90 is like so broken that it's an absolute must. But I guess I just don't see on a 450, like really, why are we going to run anything else? Like, you're just going to want the most traction. So why would you run anything else, really? Because I think the 450 is going to be fast enough to pretty much do whatever as it is. Oh my goodness. Oh my. Okay, I do like that now. If you cross run now, you're cooked. Where before you could kind of get away with it, but now you definitely have to be a lot more precise on what you're doing here. I know this video is kind of chaotic, but I really just wanted to get on and talk about the OEMs, the previews, and oh, I also want to talk a little bit about, we have some time, so I wanted to talk a little bit about my trip to Charlotte for SMX. It was amazing. Map Parts Kawasaki was extremely kind and hooked us up, and was able to spend a lot of time. I got to meet Pierce Brown, which is cool because we've been playing a little bit online. I was really bummed because I've been talking to Plessinger a little bit. We've been trying to play for, gosh, me and Plessinger have been trying to play for a couple, probably like a month or two now. You know, we've been chit-chatting and trying to find a time that works for him, really. And obviously he's crazy busy. And I was excited to meet and just say hello to him. But I think he twisted something, or he didn't look like he was feeling great at the end of the second moto. And that was my plan, was I was going to try to say hi after the races were over when all the people were gone, because we were able to go into the pits at whenever. We didn't have to leave after FanFest. So my plan was just go in there after, you know, after the races were over and chit chat. But he pretty much just went straight into his RV, and I didn't want to like, yeah, I wasn't gonna go knock on his door and be like, yeah, brother, MX bikes, you know what I mean? So gave him his space. I waited around a little bit, but he was in there, and then I do think he actually came out, but his family was around, and I was like, we'll just hit him up on TikTok again. We'll chit chat. Maybe I'll go to Vegas and we'll talk then. But yeah, it was a really cool trip. Really just blessed to be in that position, to be able to help out that team, and to be able to meet everybody. And a lot of opportunity was had, and a lot of amazing conversations, and just a lot of really cool stuff came from that couple of days. More than I could have ever really imagined. And man, I just gotta say, guys, just get ready. You know, there is some insane things cooking, boys. Just lock it in, get ready. You know, I am so excited. I cannot even explain, and we're about able to talk about it one of these days. Soonish. TM, maybe, not, kind of, I don't know. But yeah, so cool. Just be excited that something exciting is coming, because it is definitely worth being excited about. So anyway, on that note, I think these previews are awesome. I do think there's a little refining Just, I think there might be bugs in the tires, you know, not like little cockroaches, but like sometimes when you slide, it goes from like, you know, sliding, so 0 to 20% traction to like 150 traction, 150% traction, and it's a little like catches you off guard. I would love to see a little bit more, what's it called, consistency in when you're turning, going through rollers or something. So basically, if you're leaned and the bike is sliding over the face of a jump, just consistency in how the tire reacts in that situation. But to be honest, if this is how they shipped, hopefully with some of the bugs, you know, worked out, I think that we would be looking good. And they are definitely going to require a little bit more time, and like the skill gap I think will be even higher on these tires, which is funny because I see a lot of people saying like, oh, we need less traction so we can nerf the pros. Like, you realize you make the game harder, the pros are just going to be that much better than you, because the pros are going to be like Cam and Hack-On and Lins and all these guys that are like insane. Like, they're just gonna be better. Like, anyway, yeah, food for thought, you know what I mean? A little granola for your noggin, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, I love you. Have a good day. Peace.